think the biggest thing is thinking you're supposed to only be one way for the rest of your life. That's so boring. And that's not exploratory. Like we're like dynamic. And in this season, I need to be this, but in my next year, I might be totally different. And that's super cool.
On the show, we're going to sit down and talk about the metamorphosis that happens when you become a leader.
We'll share our biggest wins and our losses and interview other leaders to find out how they stay in charge without losing their minds.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Zach. Welcome to the Who's in Charge podcast. All right, awesome. Welcome, Jason and Jennifer, to the Who's in Charge podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys on today. We know Jason as the leader of Collective Genius, so he fits so well into our idea of like growing as a leader, growing as an individual, of what does it take to be in charge. I think leadership is difficult to begin with. Leading leaders, even more difficult. So really excited to kind of get into that and how you got into that position and how you've grown. But even kind of starting off, we have your wonderful wife here, Jennifer, and how you guys first met as your careers were kind of going, bumped up against each other. Give us a little bit about your love story and how you got started.
Do you want
I'll let you take it away. Yeah, you can rock it, honey.
So I was a real estate title agent and Jason was lending money at the time. And we had, I guess it was a couple duo that they were working us at both ankles. She was in my ear. He was in his ear saying, we have somebody you got to meet. So we did a double date. We had sushi, went to a comedy show, and he was a charmer. I was like, this guy's a salesman. I can tell he's going to sell it. That he was selling, but no, we were in similar worlds and also like in similar places in life. So we got along really well, and the rest is history.
The gentleman who introduced us, the tie in there is that he was flipping houses. So Jennifer was closing his deals, and I was lending him
that's right,
money. And so that's how, they were like, hey, we got to get you two together.
I kept seeing his name pop up with my deals. And it's funny. At one point I knew they were trying to do the connection. I had to call him for something. It was so awkward. I'm like, hi.
I was like, hey girl.
Yeah. That's how it was. Yeah.
You get that wire I sent you?
It wasn't as easy as he's making it sound. It was a little less awkward.
Better salesman than that, we know.
I hope it wasn't. I hope it was that awkward. How long ago was that? How long have you all been together?
2026, right? So we met, 16 years since we met.
Okay. This is awesome. And when was CG founded? 2010?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, 2010-ish.
He was just starting out, because I remember a very small room and a projector set up. So yeah, CG was a thing right before I met him, and he was just starting to launch this thing with very few people in the room, from what I remember.
Yeah. How interesting. What do you think is different about Jason now versus then?
It's funny. He still has that same heart and passion and drive. He just knows so much. And I think I'm always in awe of when I hear him speak. The business has had to change and how like the environment has had to change, he just dives in and he just learns. So it wasn't like this humility. I mean, I'm sorry, it wasn't this like a lack of humility. It was almost like, I don't know what's happening and I don't know what's going on, but I know my people need me to change and they need CG to change. And he's changed with it, and the business has changed with that. So I've always been in awe of like how much information he can consume and how much he can learn. And then he's a better teacher as a result.
Yeah, he's a fantastic teacher. I think it's so amazing and something really special from the couple perspective on the whole journey of entrepreneurship and building things together, whether or not both people are involved in this specific endeavor or one is and the other isn't. I think there's this huge evolution that happens as individuals and then as a couple.
Yeah, we've been through a lot. It's funny. I remember with COVID, our joke was he came home. He was in California when I was supposed to come fly out with Ava to see him, and everything went on lockdown. So we canceled our trip. He came home somewhat panicked, and he went upstairs to the office I'm sitting in now and said, hey, I'll see you in a month. I'm like, all right, I'll bring you 3 square meals a day, make sure you are okay. And he just revamped the whole business and the whole game. And I thought he was going to come downstairs like Noah with like a beard and like look 100 years old, like when the next time I saw him.
That there's a great reference point in there for couples. One of them is an entrepreneur. So at that point, CG was 10 years old. So it wasn't not like a startup, right? Like we were
Right.
10 years old. We had momentum. Like the business was established, but things changed so dramatically. I was in the live event business, and COVID broke out. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, my business is going to shut down like this. I don't know what's going on. And so I very specifically remember, and this is, I think, very sound advice if you ever have a change like this, or you have to, so you get used to where you've got enough momentum to where life is pretty good. You're not working till 10 o'clock at night, right? You're living a pretty normal life. Those grinding days are behind you. And then when that hit, it was kind of like, okay, we're sitting in bed one night, and I'm like, hey, I need to talk to you. I know that the grinding days are behind me, and we've been through that. And I know that we're both appreciative to be here, but for like the next 90 days, I need you to cut me some slack.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going in. I'm going to be upstairs in the captain's chair, white knuckled, throttle down, trying to figure it out. And I need you to cut me some slack, right? Like, don't get mad at me. Because obviously I didn't have any intention of going back to that level of work or that level of intensity. But I think when things like that happen in your career, and they will, right? It's just the nature of the beast. Communicating that, if you've kind of come out of a particular season and there's an expectation that, like, if you were to work late one night, that, hey, what's going on? Like, if you know that's coming, or something breaks or something happens, to have that, like, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because if you just start doing it without helping your partner understand, like, here's what's happening, right? And I need to dive in.
Yeah.
I think communication, right?
Yeah.
Communication and grace are the two things that I'm kind of like picking up from that story. Like, we have to have a relationship where we can be open lines of communication, and then giving people grace, because there's going to be seasons. And I know Stephanie and I could attest, there's been different seasons where we've each have needed different levels of support of, like, I got to go 120 right now, and vice versa. Sorry to cut you off there, Jennifer.
No, not at all. I just think we're wired. We're very different, but we're wired similarly in the way that we're both drivers. I try not to, I want to be a better mom and wife these later years of my life, recognizing I probably don't have to protect myself and drive that hard anymore, but I understand drive and the need for drive. And also, he's not somebody that was using his time frivolously. So if I knew my husband, who was always the brave one and always the support, was somewhat concerned, then I knew there was need for concern. So that means I'm like, okay, I've got Ava, I've got the house. We'll bring you food. So I knew there was a reason to it. And also, again, I wasn't naive. The world was upside down and I was scared too. And, when your spouse needs you to be different, or just to be laid back or be supportive. We can pick at each other for a lot of things, but in that season, it was one of those, I knew what he needed. So
I think that's a testament to the foundation of the relationship. And, one of the images, and we actually haven't seen this image in a minute at CG, but one of the ways that the event opened every single time was that single house standing on the shore when the storm came, right? And I think that if we're all being honest, the storm comes multiple times in our relationships and our businesses.
Yeah.
And we have to always be preparing for that. I think the most importantly are relationships, because that's what the heck matters in the end anyway. Like, let the storm come take away the business. But if we don't have our family in the end, like, what the heck were we building, right?
Yep.
What do you think prepared you guys for that vulnerability and that support during the storm of COVID? Like, what little things have you done over the 10 years of your relationship that felt that it prepared you for that moment where it was like a no-brainer? Like, yeah, I got the house, I got the kids, I've got whatever you need, right? And same thing with Jason. Like, I got to check out for a second and do this.
I think that is what it is in that you get to a point, and it wasn't always that way with us, without a doubt, but we reached a point in our relationship where we not only understood but appreciated, like, each other's role.
Yeah.
Because there are times when I was building and she's like, all you're doing is working and you're getting to travel around. You're just having fun. I'm stuck at home and, changing diapers. And, we both of us were just, and I'm like, I'd much rather be doing that. You don't understand the stress of building a business, and you don't really have that respect for each other's role in the marriage or partnership. And we got to a place where we did. And so when you have that respect, and when those challenging times come up, you're like, all right, I got this, you got that. We may not see each other a whole lot during this trying time, but I trust you, you trust me. Let's get it.
I want to pause on that one real quick because I think for the listeners, I think it's really important. We talked about communication, of being able to have that open lines of communication where you can. Because I think Stephanie and I, kind of similar stories, right? We used to both do the same thing. And then all of a sudden, and we're almost like role reversal sometimes with the idea of I'm home and she's out gallivanting around the world, getting these damn dinners and doing stuff. And I'm home taxiing
He's like,
kids
I would have
around,
liked
right?
a Wagyu steak.
Right. And she's like, I would have liked to. Yeah, right. And I would rather have driven our kid to the tournament or whatever. And so there have been moments of that where I think, maybe it's a strong word, but like maybe a little bit of resentment kind of falls on kind of both sides of like, you're gone and she's on the other side saying, I'm tired and I'm still having to go. And as hard as it is, we've talked about crucial conversations in that book and the idea of like being able to have that crucial conversation, being able to just call it out where it is. I think is a really important thing that you got to put the hard work into relationships, just like you have to put the hard work into business of like, have the conversation. It's going to be uncomfortable. Let's have the uncomfortable conversation and go through there. Have you guys feel similar?
Can I be just transparent? I'm always the oversharer, and I'm totally fine with that because I will say things that people won't say. And it is the reason why I'm a major connector with people. I love connecting with people.
Yeah.
I will get in the hard with them. I will say the hard things. I will open up and share whatever God puts on my heart if that person needs to hear it. So I did not grow up with a strong faith background. So I did not grow up with a strong identity. So I was a divorced woman very early and a single mom. So I had to be mom and dad very early in life for a very long time. So before I had Ava, I gave up my career, which was my identity at the time. So when you marry somebody with a strong identity and a strong drive like Jason, and you're at home feeling purposeless, then it's really easy to attack and also say like, well, he's going after, I never saw it for what it was. I just see him leaving me behind or not caring about what happens at home because he's got something really great going for himself. I didn't realize that God gave me what I'd always wanted, which was this design. I get to be a mom and a wife and a support system, but that didn't seem like enough for me at the time because that's how empty I was. So I would say the last few years, just really opening up that conversation saying, okay, this isn't about him and fancy dinners at all. This is about, I don't believe my place in life is enough. Because when I was accomplishing and paying for things and doing things, that gave me a sense of false identity that the world says we should have. Whereas God says, my design is tender. You are a woman. You get to be the loving one at home. You get to be his support system. And that's more than enough. So I feel like once I started walking in a truer identity, the lies kind of stopped being real. And then I'm able to say, yeah, no, do your thing because I love what I get to do. Do your thing because I got this. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. There's no FOMO. There's no missing out. Yes, I'm exhausted. And yes, it's not glamorous, but there's so much glory in it. So I feel like that had to happen before I could honestly sit there and be a true support system. But it was never real before that. It was like, yeah, go ahead, go do your thing. Love you. Bye. Resentment, go do your thing. I'm fine. No, I'm not, so I feel like that is what had to change. I had to change.
I think that's like a big arc sometimes in the marriage of an entrepreneur. And like, for example, if the male is the driver and the woman, you get to a point in your relationship, you're like, okay, we're going to have kids. And then you've reached a point where, okay, well, we can afford to have you at home. You don't have to work if you don't want to. And they make that choice. And then of course the responsibilities, the weight, the time, the hours, the ups and downs of, all night with babies. And you get to a point where you like the woman can feel like, what am I beyond just a mom? Right. Not that there's not an amazing thing to be, but if you had a career, you were, had things you enjoyed and then they kind of come to a halt, it's like you're questioning who you are, and then some of that questioning, you're home all day, you're with babies, you're wiping butt and changing diapers and cleaning up, throw up, and then you can kind of look at like you're not doing any of that, and you're out doing this and cutting deals and doing business and not understanding the stressful side of that. And then I think there's a second layer to that where your child gets to the point where they're old enough to where they're like going to kindergarten. So now they're gone 5 or 6 hours a day. And now the mom has this vacuum in place of now I really don't, because now I've taken our child to school, and those 5 or 6 hours I just got back in my life in an instant, and I don't know what to do with them. Right. And so there's just this like identity, like, vacuum there. And it can happen on both sides. It can happen to the mom. It can happen to, the dad, if he's the one who's out, the entrepreneur out and constantly you get to a point where momentum and progress outgrow who you are as a leader. Right. Something that I think a lot of people don't understand. I get a kick out of sharing this with people. I say the business has brought me to my knees when it's struggling, and the business has brought me to my knees when it's thriving, and it's on a meteoric rise, and the money's flowing, and the like everything's amazing, and people are like, I don't understand that. How has it brought you to your knees when you're doing really good and making a bunch of money and growing, and like that doesn't make any sense. Because sometimes it grows out past who you are.
Exactly. You're like, I've never seen past this.
Right. You're waking up every day running the biggest business you have ever run before. Every day you wake up and it's bigger and it's bigger. And you're like, I've not stepped in these shoes and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
No one does. I think maybe just comment a little bit on what both of you said about like our own individual experience and then how to kind of come together. I relate to that so much, like being an entrepreneur myself, being a mom myself, trying to seek identity, right? And I think one of the things that I struggle with, especially in the beginning of our marriage, was I thought that I was like, my identity was just tied to me and like my thing. And I think that's what really drives a lot of resentment. And, I grew up feeling like I needed to be independent, like came from divorced parents and like not really feeling like I had a safety net. Like if I failed, then like I would fail, like no one's going to catch me. And so I think that makes it very difficult for someone to take care of me. So Zach is a freaking like, he's a saint. He's a saint. Like I've never had anyone really be able to take care of me. But anyway, and so I think I try to tie my identity to production, like whether that be like I'm doing the baby thing or I'm doing the work thing and like, or the intellectual stimulation thing. And I think a really big turning point in our marriage is similar to your experience that you're saying, Jennifer, where I was like, no, this is about a unit. This is not like, that's the identity is in the unit. And there's a lot of like yin and yang there, like who needs what next. And it's not singular. And my perspective is not singular. It's the combination of all of us. And that felt like, okay, this is way more sense. This is the way it's meant to be. And I think this is where the world pulls us apart, with gender roles or with whatever, personal expectations. It's about the unit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think identity is very dangerous any which way, right? You could put your identity into a business and the business could fail, right? There's identity and then there's purpose. And I think your purpose is going to change according to the season, right? So if I put all of my identity in whatever my purpose is at this moment, the purpose, and being in any stage of business or any stage of relationship, raising kids is different. I had this when our business kind of was running more on autopilot. Like I was more doing some childcare stuff. And I had this moment where I'm like, they're going to like, if I'm a good father, what are they going to do? They're going to leave the nest. Well, then what? My identity can't be there. I have to recognize that my identity is something different. This is my purpose, is to get them to be ready to fly, but it's not my identity when they fly or when my position in the company changes or if you sell the company, right? There's a lot of good outcomes that can happen too that all of a sudden change that purpose. And you got to make sure that your identity, I mean, you guys have brought faith into this conversation, like your faith in who you are and your identity has to be deeper than whatever that seasonal purpose is.
It has to be the thing that runs through everything you do. And that is not something that the world models, nor did do our families model sometimes. So we do learn it probably by trial and error. We did not get the first few years of marriage and or partnership right, but I see such like change, and I see just different seasons. And our daughter gets the benefit because she'll have something him and I did not have growing up. So she gets to see two people that keep making mistakes but keep trying to do better the next day, and we're super humbled by those mistakes, and we're not resentful or angry at that because it's refining. We're being refined.
What were some of those things that allowed you? Like, was there something that you guys did, a system that Jason's a big system guy, I'm assuming Jennifer is too, a system that you implemented into your personal lives of like, how are we going to maintain this connections that we're working together? Or like you made those adaptations? Was it, coming into this podcast, I had two words when I think about Jason is the idea of intentional excellence. Like that always comes back to me.
Ooh,
I think it's very
good. Yes.
I like it. I'm in.
I like it.
Jason, the intentional excellence medley.
That's your wrestling name, Jason. From
There you
here
go.
Yeah. I don't know how much cheer I get for that,
but I'm assuming that you guys probably worked your way through that. Is there something that you can kind of look back and attribute like this is a habit that we implemented that really helped?
Yeah, I think, and it really does boil back to intentionality. Even people who are very driven can lose sight of this, I think. But like, especially when you're in that building phase of your life and you're raising kids and you're building a business and you're just, everything is a blur. And then kind of the most important things can be put on the back burner or not be approached with intentionality. And so for me, it's always been, if it's not on the calendar, it ain't happening. Right. And so, we have some pretty rigid disciplines. They're not perfect. Sometimes we have to scoot things around, depending, like we're doing it right now because of camps Ava's in and stuff. But Friday nights, 9 out of 10 Friday nights, the Medleys are going on a date night. It may not be anything more than running down the street and having dinner. And quite frankly, at this age, that's about all we need. Go out, have a nice dinner, come home. And then on Tuesday,
I want to be in my PJs at 9:30.
Hey, the joke is the valet is always like, now, sir, just to let you know, we're out of here at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, listen, if somebody's feet are on the floor at my house after 9:30, they broke in because we're asleep. So Friday nights, date night is pretty important. And then on Tuesday nights, we have, and this is going to sound like some people will be like, oh, you have to schedule family dinner night. So like we have family dinner night on Tuesdays at 6:30. And it's not that we don't eat together, but sometimes, I'm at the kitchen counter. She's, working on a computer. Ava's on her tablet. Like we might be together, but we're not really together, And so Tuesdays is like, you put that away, and we're all sitting together with no devices, and we're going to eat, and we're going to, play Uno or something like that. And so, those are, at least on my side, some of the intentional things. And, she does a daddy or a mommy-daughter trip with Ava each summer. I do a daddy-daughter trip. They just went to New York. I'm taking her surfing in about a month. And so we just try to, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. And it's very easy to, oh, well, we got to find a babysitter. I hear that all the time when I'm talking. Well, find a babysitter. Okay. Like you can't, there's a lot of easy roadblocks that can get in the way of sticking to those things. If you noticed, I said 8 or 9 out of 10, not 10 out of 10. But yeah, you gotta put the stuff that's important to you on the calendar.
I heard something kind of, surprising. Hal Elrod has that book, Miracle Morning, right? Where he talks about like these daily disciplines and things, which is such a great habit to get into. But he was on a podcast recently and they asked him about his miracle mornings. And he's like, no, the goal is always to do it more than 50% of the time. not 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And I felt that was so freeing, because sometimes just committing to the habit is also like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can commit to that, because life is way too, things happen. But even just greater than 50% of the time is such a win, right? To do the things that we need to do.
I think sometimes being too habitual can be just as much a problem.
Yeah.
Because life gets so predictable and boring, like if you're just perfect on every single discipline,
well, I'll tell you, those little disciplines, we have a discussion and on the coffee in the morning, and if the coffee is made and who makes it, I think portrays the amount of love that you have in that house.
Her love language is.
Jason is well trained now, because I have been the 99% coffee maker throughout the years.
You push
of our
the button.
marriage.
All right.
Now he pushes the button when I prepare it. So now I, not up that early, but I can sometimes just press the button, which is quite extraordinary. So our goal is eventually to have Ava do everything for us, but we're not quite there yet.
Nice.
This is one ritual I cannot sacrifice.
No, we have to make sure it's on point. Coffee's everything around here. We have our faith is the biggest thing in our lives. And I think those daily conversations, our daily Bible habits, praying, I think asking God for just quite honestly, who does he want us to be? Who does he say we are? How are we to treat others? Going to church, serving, being together, and really just growing together in our faith. And that just is what I think has brought us here this far. I feel like the disciplines are, for me, Jason, I know we're different people. I have just grown to be less, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a former perfectionist. I'm a systems person. I'm logistical. My brain works a certain way. He has shown me that everything at a heart level is what makes changes, because it's about those daily sacrifices. It's about compromising. I like my mornings a certain way. I have a little one that runs in mid coffee, mid reading my devotional, or I'm trying to send an email and I got to put it up. So, those little things where I feel like just having perspective on this time is very short. We don't have anything guaranteed with each other even. I don't know if he's going to make it home tonight. It's just the truth. So us just being just better versions of ourselves every day is what I think is we both want. And we're humbled because we're teaching her, and she's learning that too. So I feel like that just brings everything to another level. We want her life to look a certain way. We want her to choose well in life. We want her to partner well. So, she's got to see it. We can't just tell her what it should look like. We have to show her.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's messy.
It's super messy. We're big apology people. We say we're sorry constantly. I think that's the thing I say the most. It's usually no, and I'm sorry. I have to tell her no a lot, and I tell myself no a lot. But no, I think that's the one thing. I have an adult son, and I feel like a lot of my friends have problems with their older kids, and he and I have repaired our relationship. We've had struggles, but I think that's the biggest thing. I'm like, what is the thing that changes? Why are we okay and other people are not? It's is we're constantly trying to say we're sorry and just make whatever we did right better. And it's not perfect. It's just, we clean up our messes,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that is such an important part of relationships and marriage and partnerships, is saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't just defend your position to the death.
No,
be quick to say, I'm sorry.
It's lonely there, It's lonely. If you're about being right versus being connected, then it's lonely.
Yeah, it still sits with me. We had Matt Terrio on, and he talked about, somebody said, why is it so important to you to argue with the person that you love the most, that you want them so badly to be wrong? And it was changed his perspective, is how he looked at arguments whoa, that still sits with me today.
Good. I like that. That's a jaw dropper.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, honey.
No,
I was gonna.
You take it.
Jinx. I was gonna comment on, I think that, so Jason, you in the room, and of course you too, Jennifer, but have had this front row seat to thousands of real estate investors coming and being a part of their journey over the last 15 plus years, however long it is. I'm really curious on your perspective there, on what you've seen work really well for these companies. So most of our listeners are in the real estate space, not all of them, but most of them are. And I think that's kind of this burning question is, how do I build longstanding success? How do I be the person my business needs me to be? How do I navigate all the stress in this pressure cooker? And like, I think that you both have a really interesting seat because you've done it yourselves and you have your own personal journey, but then you've led the room of leaders and heard their journeys and had all those observations over a very long period of time, some of which the like original members that were there are still thriving, still amazing and part of that group that we've gotten the personal benefit from. What are your observations there on what it takes and who these long-standing successful people are?
I think, like, if you go back to when we started this, you know, Zach was busting my chops about IE, intentional excellence, right? He's been around me enough to know what I stand for.
Yep. And
so I think that the most successful people that have come through, you know, CG and what makes them successful, more importantly, with the word you keyed on, Stephanie, was long-term, is they usually have a set of core values that they're living by personally and possibly a similar set or a different set that they're integrating into their company, right? Like, if you're going to work here, this is what we stand for. This is what we stand against. This is how we roll. This is how we're going to behave. These are the outcomes we're after. And so I think having a set of core values as a leader, because people are not in this world, they don't want to just come in, sit at a desk, collect a paycheck, go home, come in, sit at a desk, collect a paycheck, go. Like, they need, you know, something, a bigger reason or a bigger thing to be a part of. And so having an established set of values, I think is critically important. And then those values are what underpin what I would call vision. And a vision is those people who have had long-term success can tell their team, here's where we're going, right? Like, here's where we're going. Here's where we're trying to get to. Here's a flag in the ground. And here are the things that have to be done in order to get there. So you've got values, you've got vision. And I think the in-between is you know, like, you've got to have, from an operations standpoint, they have operating systems in the business, right? When I say operating systems, that means that they have cadences, rhythms, meetings, metrics, where they are, you know, driving the business forward with, you know, something like an EOS, entrepreneurial operating system, or scaling up to where we have a core team meeting each week, and then department heads do, and then we've got scorecards that are, you know, tracking improvement or weaknesses and continued growth. And so having an operating system to be long-term successful entrepreneurs is critical. I think that those same people who, a lot of times entrepreneurs create the financial component of the business as separate from everything else, sales, marketing, operations. But that facet of the business, that your knowledge as a leader has to continue to pace as sales, operations, marketing grows and scales, so does your level and understanding of finances. And the discipline that is, Jennifer will tell you, the majority of why we've done well is, you know, making money is one thing, keeping it's another, and putting financial disciplines in place inside of the company to ensure that you can handle the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, make the right decisions from an investing perspective, hire the right people. A lot of that's driven from financial discipline. And so I think it's vision underpinned by values. You know, you've got to have a strong operating system in the business. Those people also hire good people. Like, that's probably the biggest. I mean, it isn't probably the biggest. It is the single biggest factor in growing a solid company, is hiring the right people. And there's nothing easy about that. It takes trial. It takes error. It's something still to this day I don't personally enjoy to do. And I'm grateful to have, you know, Mikkel, who you've met, Stephanie, handle that now. But I think those are some of the big things. And then just raw tenacity. Like, this is a bloody, it's a bloody sport. You know, it might be people they don't necessarily associate it this way, but it's full contact. It's a battle. It's every day getting up and, putting on your pads and getting sacked day in and day out, and just learning to deal with that, learning how to handle it, learning to be able to handle the stress. But you've got to be, I think, a savage to continue to be able to grow a business over a long-term period and have it be successful. In here. And that's not easy either, because what do you tell me when I'm sitting at the end of the bed sometimes, stretching, we're getting ready to go to bed, and I'm stretching, and I've got that faraway look on my and I'm it's all, what do you say to me?
Which part? About there's a lot going on in there. Yeah.
She looks at me and she says, it's noisy in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so noisy. Right? I don't know where to start, what to tackle first, what to do next, who to talk to about, and so having a great partner who can recognize that. I'm sure a lot of those successful people you're talking about, Stephanie, probably have good partners too. I would bet 85 to 90% of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. What I've noticed along the way, being in this too, not the same capacity by any means as to you guys, but I think there's a transition that happens with people's relationship with money. I think a lot of people get into real estate to make a bunch of money. They're like, I think we can get rich doing this.
Yeah.
Right? Or like I can build long-term wealth for my family doing this. And that's the initial thing that pulls you into it. And I think there's a ton of things underneath that iceberg, like security and self-worth. And there's a lot of things that underpin that for sure. But like the quick flat headline is people want to make money. And I think what you realize pretty quickly in the thing, into the venture, is that is not nearly enough of a reason to do this. Like, you need a way bigger vision than just you and your own personal capital to what you're building and why you want to build it and who's going to be with you. And I've noticed that can be a really difficult transition to make when people start trying to articulate what their vision is.
Yeah.
Because first it's just about you. And nobody's going to want to work to help you get rich. No one gives a crap about you. They care about their families and and how they can provide for them. And what do I fit into as a person? And what is my impact in this organization? And is there room for me? And like all those questions. So I think especially in the first couple of years after people get some sort of proof of concept and hustle, you got to figure out that piece. And I think, Jennifer, you nailed it. Like, that is the heart piece.
Yeah. Can I chime in? There's something that, again,
yes.
I'm not in the mix with him yet. I have been the stander buyer. I've been the support. I've been the picker upper of pieces. I've been the one that's wiped tears and frustrations when people have come, gone. I've seen a lot of seasons of it. You have to have a brave heart leader, you got to have the guy with the Mel Gibson, the stuff on his face, right?
Braveheart.
They were so, if you have a leader in a business that you believe in, and then you will ride to the hills for, because you believe in why. The why is everything, like you said, because after making money, that's great, but this is too hard just to make money. So you have to have a leader that is so passionate and is so clear on the vision. And also they have a lot of integrity, because nobody will support and give that much to a leader they question or a leader that's selfish. So you have to have a business with somebody that's that type of person. The other thing is you have to create that culture and support yourself. Surround yourself with people that are like-minded, like-hearted. They have integrity. They care deeply. They care about more than just themselves. You have to care about your clients. You want them to thrive. You want them to have businesses. You want them to feed their families and thrive. So I feel like what I've seen with his business and other businesses, they have those common elements. They have strong leadership. They have honest, good people, and they surround themselves. And also for the sake of not just worrying about money, who they allow, who their customer base is, has to be that within that culture as well. They have to have people that have integrity. They run businesses and they share information and they're generous and they're not scarcity minded. And you can't just make money by saying yes to everybody. You have to protect what you built. And with saying no, you continue to grow, because you're not just letting anybody and everybody in. Because if you do that, then it's no longer your business. It's no longer the thing you're willing to sacrifice so much for.
Yeah. So well said. And I think that just have to, 1 second, Zach, I have to say this. I think that's what makes CG, Collective Genius, just so powerful, because that's exactly what that place is. It's not just about, hey, what's the proof of concept? How do I make money in real estate? Yeah. It's like, how do I build longevity and something bigger than even yourself? And how do I transform as a leader? It's been an amazing community to be a part of. And you feel that when you're in that room. And to your point, the people who don't fit that, they repel pretty quick. Like they stand out like a sore thumb when you have someone stand up and say something about taking advantage of homeowners and like, just crazy things that are just a quick money grab. Like you can see who those people are if there's one or two in the group ever at one given time. And you're like, oh, you don't fit. Yeah. Like you're here for a money grab. And they all get out. They all get kicked out.
And there's no fear in that, because you guys know what you've established is so much bigger than that. So if that one person walks out the room, don't worry, there'll be 5 behind him that are a better fit.
Yeah. And I think that's when you really know if they're core values or not. If you're willing to say no to revenue because of a core value, that's a real core value. Yeah. If you sacrifice that core value to let that revenue come in, that is not a core value, or you don't have them.
It's when if you keep compromising what you say you believe in, then it's hard to establish and keep something going, for sure.
Yeah. Zach, you were going to say something and I interjected.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, I just keep thinking about as we've grown, right? As people think about starting companies, start about being an entrepreneur, growing their businesses, there's separation of, personal and professional, but there's really not, right? Like, I mean, they're so closely kind of intertwined that like, what's your advice to people in terms of like, so sometimes you have spouses that work together and some that are not. And sometimes you have to get the spouse on board, right? Of like, hey, I'm about to do this. And, to kind of have, like you talked about COVID, there was a very specific moment, like we need to have a conversation. But the reality is, especially for somebody that's just starting out, those conversations probably have to take place on a far more regular basis, like of what's shifting of my vision and where we need to go. What would be your advice for people in terms of like, you have one person that's ready to start a business and the spouse involved? How do I get them, how much to get them involved, how much to tell them about or not?
I think it depends on the dynamic of the relationship and the people. Let's say, again, the roles were flipped. It's me that I'm the one that wants to start the business and Jason's my partner. I think letting him know, first of all, what my intentions are, and then asking what their level of involvement, do they want to be involved? I think what I've noticed people do wrong is never ask their partner if they want to be involved.
Oh,
and they make it about them. And then this is my dream. So then that's just an avenue for resentment. Oh, so I have to support your dream. You never asked me if I had a dream, or you never asked me if I want to be part of your dream. So then there's separation off the bat. So I think, again, it's just, if you're in an actual relationship, I think it's just, this is what I'm excited about. I want to share it with you. Here it is. Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to, how do you see yourself supporting it? I think also too, rationally, you can't have one dreamer and not one income maker. So you have to have somebody that's ready to just,
you'll be homeless.
Yes, I'm ready to be homeless now. You're going to both be homeless. So I think you need to have one person that say, hey, in the meantime, while you're doing this thing, I will lock it down. I will be the breadwinner. I will make sure our bills are paid. You do what you have to do because I believe in you that much. And I think when you have a support system like that, it gives people wings and they can really work hard towards that. If you're trying to hold down a job while pursue this dream, of course, it's going to take longer and be harder. So ideally, if you can get one person that can provide while the other person's pursuing, that would help the most. But I think, again, always just letting them know this is about us. But if you want it to just be me, I'm okay with that too. And like with us, it was never CG was a thing before I even came on the scene. It was very new, but it was still his thing. I never wanted to be a part of it because I was at the end of wanting to not be in real estate anymore. So it was a very easy thing for me to say, hey, you're good. And I get to do the things that I'm passionate about and I enjoy because he does have his business. I wouldn't be able to work at a church if my husband only made a certain amount of money and could only take care of I had to contribute to the bills. I would have to probably get no offense to the church, but I'd probably get a better paying job, So
that's true. Yeah.
I get to pursue what my dream is, and he takes care of the rest. So I feel like, again, it's all about partnership and communication and really valuing who the other person is. And it's never about a dollar amount, because he can't do what he does without my support, and I can't do what I do without his support. And we make very different amounts of money. Let's just make that clear.
Love it.
What about you, Jason?
I would say, I'm going to answer the part that comes after you figure that out, I think. So let's assume you've either decided to work together or not. When you start a business, I'll take you back to a quick story. I remember being at a CG, and there was a young man there basically saying, like, hey, I've been in the business for 2 years and things are going well, we're doing really well, but I've got 2 kids under 3 years old, and my wife is on me about work-life balance. So his question was, how do I achieve work-life balance? And I said, you're not going to. You're not going to. And the sooner that both of you come to that, then acceptance of that, like, the easier it'll be on both of you. Because that's when your life, you're growing your family, you're growing a business. Everybody's on full frontal sacrifice. And so accepting the fact that you're not going to be balanced during this period is going to make it way easier on the two of you. Now, he's like, well, what do I do? Right? And I said, I think you gotta sit down. You gotta really determine what each other's non-negotiables are, right? Like, hey, honey, I got a 2-year-old business. I'm going to be working till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock every night for probably 2 more years. What are your non-negotiables that if I do this one thing or these 3 things for you over the course of a week, and they're non-negotiable, that you're still happy with me, right? What are those things? And then vice versa, right? Like, hey, I am trying to build something for our future. I am working till 11 o'clock. Like, what are the 2 or 3 things that you can do for somebody who's making that sacrifice, to where if you guys do those things each week, it might be a dinner night. It might be, hey, I'm a rock star mom, but one morning or one night all night, you're getting up with a baby, or one morning, I'm going to do this until you have to figure out what those things are. But I just think in periods, because if you're starting a business, you're not going to have work-life balance. It's not going to have, or, I mean, if you do, you might have bigger problems. Business probably ain't going very well.
Right.
Exactly. About to find out 6 months from now.
Yeah. I had great work-life balance, but couldn't get anything sold. And so I think you've just got to figure out, you got to have one of those sit down, hey, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to have one of those moments where you just say, what are some non-negotiables over the course of a week that, as long as I do those, you're still getting your bucket filled or partially filled. And I think you've got to have that conversation both ways. Especially probably if you're working together, because even people that are compatible, that puts a lot of strain on their relationship sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ask Zach.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard.
I know. Look how cute he is. It was hard to be a COO for 8 years, though.
It was harder on me. I had it easy. I'll take it back any day.
No, but I think I think that's good business advice, and good relationship advice is like truly like starting with like the constraints. Like, what do I have to do? Right? Like, you have to take a shower. You have to do these basic human needs. You have to have this basic connection with your significant other, right? Regardless if you're dating or if you're married, and same thing with like the people that you work with every day. Like, what do you need from each other? And I think I don't know that anybody really does that by default, like communicates like that by default. But when you're in this pressure cooker, I think you have to, and it can be so freeing. Like, I think Zach and I were married like at least 5 years before we had that conversation. Like, it just never came up before.
And
right?
That's how it works, unless you're listening to this podcast and you can avoid those troubles.
Right?
You go. Learn from these troubles.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute. We need to talk about like what I need in a relationship and what he needs. And guess what? I was so excited to hear that, because we love each other. Of course, I want to do what you need and be a part of like what's healthy here, right? And so it was the same thing for him. And that was a really cool moment, I think, of being able to be like super vulnerable, put everything on the table. Like, this is all my ugly and this is all my needs, and have somebody else look at it and be like, all right,
I can do that. Yeah.
and you're like, what? Wow, that is like, that gives me goosebumps to think about it again, because like that was the most amazing moment. And I just encourage everybody to have that conversation. Like, this person loves you. Put it all on the table. Let that, like, dump out the backpack and work together on those things that are non-negotiables. And dang it, have non-negotiables. It's okay.
And respect what you're trying to do. It's hard to respect because you haven't done it before. But like, when you're trying to build a family and raise kids and grow a business, like, that's harsh.
Yeah.
That's hard. On top of trying to take care of yourself physically, you know, like, have a relationship with God, grow their business, have children, raise them to be good. Like, it's a lot, you know? So like, sometimes when you're in the go of it, the hustle and the bustle, and you're just passing each other every day, like, you can lose sight of the fact. And then you start stuffing all that you start having that conversation and you're stuffing it. Yeah. You're stuffing it every day until somebody pulls the pin and the grenade goes off.
And that, you know, letting go of that idea of, they should know. Just assume like they should know. Like, they should know that I don't want cheese on my nachos, that I don't want cheese on my Tostitos. Like, how do you not know this?
I cannot
like, it's
believe
good
you
to
didn't
just
know
talk
that.
about it.
After all these years, you don't even know me.
I'm like, I've never dipped a tortilla chip in my life.
One thing I love to kind of get back to, so who's in charge, right? We came up with this name a while ago and there was some back and forth on it. And one of the things that resonates to me in this is the idea of like, in our growth in leadership journeys, we have to change like who's in charge, I think, in here and in here. And I think you guys have both kind of experienced that and the levels of growth. And like I said, still experiencing some of that growth of like, I haven't been here before. What are your tips for the rest of us as we're trying to grow, to change who we have to be to lead what we want to lead?
So I would say the last 10 years of my life has been constant change of who I am and who I have to be. And I love it. It's been the hardest thing. I call myself like Shrek the Human Onion, where every time there's things revealed, there's more layers. And I think it's having eyes to see what's happening, who your people are and who's around you. So if you see the version of you is affecting the people around you in a way that's probably not productive and not loving, it's time to look at you. And that just, it depends on who you are as a person. Some people go the faith route. Some people go the coach. Again, it just depends on what method. But I think it's how do I show up? How am I showing up every day? And what's the fruit look like? What does my life look like? The things I'm touching, are they growing? You know, or
what does the fruit look like? Oh,
yeah. So if
good.
People around me seem to be, again, not even about a people pleasing, but if the people around me are thriving, if they believe in themselves, are growing, they want to work with me, they want to hang out with me. That says a lot. If people are avoiding me and don't call me back and don't want to hang out with me and I don't bring a lot of joy out of them, then that's something to look at. So I think just having honest inventory, don't be afraid of not being afraid of change. And I think the biggest thing is thinking you're supposed to only be one way for the rest of your life. That's so boring. And that's not exploratory. Like we're like dynamic. And in this season, I need to be this, but in my next year, I might be totally different. And that's super cool. So I think the human mind is spectacular. I think the human spirit's even cooler. So like tapping into everything that like how we're made and what's next is exciting. And I want to like live a life worth like living. So I feel like that's the other thing. I can't do it right now. I can't do a lot more with how and who I am. So I have to grow. I have to change. I have to learn. I love learning and I love teaching and I love like developing people. I think I've been poured into by so many great leaders with where I work, and our organization believes in leadership development. And I love being a product of that I get to help develop leaders and I get to pour into people and come up with cool questions and cool strategies, and also lovingly point out things that are like areas that aren't helping them. So I feel like, again, we get trapped sometimes in mindsets or lies or beliefs, or also just thinking, oh, this is all I am. This is all I'll ever be. So I feel like that's to be challenged.
I think on my part, and leadership is ever changing, and I'll give some input here, but certainly doesn't mean I've got it figured out. Got my own set of challenges and they change on a regular routine basis, but there are some consistencies when I look back over, the last 30 years or so since I've been an entrepreneur, or 25-ish years since I've been an entrepreneur. And I think I wrote this down when you asked that question. If you can't lead you can't lead anybody. Right? And so if you're thinking about starting a business or starting a family, or most of the default you see in any of those categories of life is because you've yet to really reach a point of maturity where you should be doing those things in the first place, right? Like, that person should not be having children because they're still behaving like one, right? Or, that person should not be starting a business because they got the most awful money management skills on the planet, whatever it is. But if you can't lead you can't lead anybody. And I think that starts, at least it has for me for a super, super long time, is with, what is a typical day look? You mentioned the miracle morning, I think earlier, Stephanie. And for me, the day starts out with me leading me. And that is getting up out of bed at a solid early hour before everyone else. Because if you don't get up before everyone else does, right, then you don't have you become reactive to the world instead of taking charge, right? And so getting up each morning, praying, you got to get everything else in life that's important to you done before you go to work, right? And that's, for me, that's getting up, that's praying, that is sometimes journaling, that is getting my heart pounding, going to work out, to the gym or playing pickleball. That's eating a good, clean meal with my wife. It's usually pre-made for me. But that's
with a bow on it.
Yeah, that's taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, like you doing all of those things before you get in determining who you're going to be that day and in the future. Each and every single day, it's a choice, right? And it's not always an easy choice, but I think you've got to get up, at least for us, praying, getting a workout in, eating right, then all your obligations, all the things you don't really choose, you got to start taking kids to school. You got to get to work. You got to and so you've got to take those things that polish you and that round you out, which are your mind and your body. Those things they kind of come first, right, in the morning. And then I think, having like when you don't look forward to the future, when you have something in your life that you're looking forward to, that's the fastest way to go into like a depressive state, Yeah. And so I think always have something to look forward to, always having something to strive towards. The crazy thing is right now is I'm striving towards not striving. Right? There's the irony in that, is getting to a place at almost, 55. My next birthday, I'll be 55 years old, to where just for a little while, I want to be okay with not measuring everything and excelling at everything. And like a real win at this stage is just like,
Yep.
We all want to be 100% of everything, and you're 95% of like your faith, family, fun. You're 95. You know what? I'm good at 95 for 6 months. I'm just gonna be good and try to contain myself from, like just constant progression. And the next level of progression is just being even and peaceful, right?
I think that probably takes more discipline.
It is super, super hard.
We'll move from intentional excellence to intentional extremely good. How about that?
Or just maintaining intentional excellence. Like you get, because if you've been doing it right for a decent amount of time, you get to where you're by and large playing a game of inches instead of miles.
Yeah.
And what it takes to get the next inch, right? Like for Usain Bolt, at one point was the fastest man on the planet. For him to improve his time by a nanosecond, the effort and instead of like, I'm I'm good at 95 across the board on these things for a while. I'm just, I'm going to be okay with being okay and not stressing about it and feeling like I've got to measure everything. And, but I think one of the keys in leadership is if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead anybody.
Well, speaking of leadership, like we said, you lead an amazing group of folks over at the Collective Genius. I think it would be remiss if we didn't give you a chance to say, where can people go to find out more about this amazing group and how they might be able to be a part?
Sure, yeah. If you are a real estate investor and looking to scale your business, grow your business, spend some time around some really amazing people, talking not just about business, but all the stuff we're talking about, right? Like, how do you become an effective leader? Because a lot of times your business gets capped where at your level of leadership. If you're looking to get around a great group of people, do life together, fight the ins, the outs, talk about those discussions we had earlier. Hey, I need to talk to you for a second. All the stuff around involved in being an entrepreneur, go check out thecollectivegenius.com. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I can't thank you both enough for taking an hour out of your day to come chat with us. I loved this episode together.
Fun. Yeah.
Jennifer, you are a freaking gem. Jason, you are a lucky duck.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed
that, but I'm okay with that.
I have so enjoyed getting to know you better and both of you better. Like a super high level being, operators out there is super successful, being vulnerable like this and kind of showing us behind the curtain a little bit of what it takes is just, it's a gift to anybody listening. So thank you so much for joining us. And yes, it was wonderful.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.